Hi Eula. So, have any of you ever heard the song Rumble in Brighton by the Stray Cats? Thought it's a good song, but you don't actually know the story behind what the song's about. And I'm going to tell you. First, quick fact about the Stray Cats. Those of you that have watched my other videos, especially my top 10 rockabilly songs, I mention a guy called Dave Edmunds in it, who sings a song called King of Love that I like. Now, I didn't realise, after doing a bit of research on this Rumble in Brighton, that it was Dave Edmunds that produced the Stray Cats' first album, the one that has Rock This Town and Rumble in Brighton. Their first album, big album, that got them going in the UK, so to speak. It was actually Dave Edmunds that discovered them. So, fun fact. Anyway, this video isn't about the Stray Cats. It is to cover the history on the Mods and Rockers and what went down in Brighton, where it all started, why it started, and one of the most iconic fights in the 60s to happen between two very iconic cultures. Before I start, I'm going to just apologise for not being around for a while. I mean, obviously with Christmas coming up, I've been just busy doing just shit in general, just getting presents ready and just getting myself organised, work, just a general family stuff. So that's why I haven't been able to upload as often as I'd like to. Anyway, Brighton Rumble, obviously between two iconic teenage subcultures, the Mods and the Rockers. The Rockers have obviously been around a lot longer than the Mods. The Mod was a very new, modern at its time culture, which clashed big time with the Rockers. The Rockers have been around since the end of the World War II era. So with them having very similar, with them having the whole transportation, motorcycle, scooter interests, obviously the scooter is very in thing for the time, whereas the Rockers more try to carry on an old traditional style and try to keep an old traditional style alive, whereas the Mods at the time was just trying to follow what was popular at the time. So, the Brighton Rumble started in the spring of 1964. It made history on the Sussex coast in Brighton, although it did happen in other areas of the UK. It started off, it always happened on a bank holiday. Now, those of you that don't know what I'm talking about regarding bank holidays, they are a British holiday that we have where most people, if you're unlucky enough not to have the day off, but most people tend to have days off on bank holidays, classed as a public holiday, a bit like you will have like your Christmas and your Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. It's one of them. I've got a really bad cough. I'm really trying to get rid of it. I've had it for ages. Anyway, the Rockers were usually in groups of people around the ages of 20 to 30, around about that kind of age group, whereas the Mods were mainly a bunch of teenagers. They were a very new culture, and for a long time they would have been outnumbered with them being such a new subculture, and obviously the rockers being around for a lot longer. Now, this famous fight started out in March in Essex, and around 97 people were arrested because of it. And after that, it just started to just grow. The tension between the two subcultures started to grow. Word got around, obviously, between the mods and the rockers, that somebody had punched so-and-so and he'd smacked him, and it's just started with a whole, obviously, subcultures backing each other up at the time. Well, he hit me, so we're all going to gang up and defend you. And it always seemed to take place at the coasts, the family holiday resorts here in the UK, mainly down in the southern area of England. So places like Bournemouth to Margate, obviously the the Brighton one is more popular, which was, I think it was because it was more widely covered in the news, and the fact that they had to have the police flown in just to help try and control the fight that was going off. Now, this ran from March time right up until August, and the fights would last from early morning, late morning-ish, right into the night. And the weapons that were used would have been, you would have had people use like your knives and your knuckle dusters, but mainly it would have been like fists and boots. Unfortunately, most of the injuries came from the panic of all your holidaymakers and pedestrians trying to flee to get away from the fights. So most of the injuries would have come from them scrambling to try and get out of the way. The mods came worse off. They ended up getting the majority of the blame, which I read an article in one of our local newspapers called the Daily Mirror that had reported at the time they'd done an interview with a guy who was like a head of one of the mod gangs, and he did admit that he saw one of the mods throw a stone at one of the rockers, which obviously instigated it, made them mad, and it broke out that way. My personal view would be, even though, yes, the rockers would have had a reputation for going round and looking for trouble, the mods didn't exactly get off lightly, and they weren't exactly the most vulnerable. They were both as much to blame as each other. From what I've read and little clips of videos I've seen, I would say, not being biased, I would actually put the blame on the mods for starting it, even though they're just as bad as each other at the end of the day. Now, obviously I can't put any clips of the footage that was actually taken, like when the news, our local news had covered the fight on Brighton. I mean, in it, I'll link a few of the clips that I find in my description. So if you're interested in checking out the actual footage of the actual fight, I will link it down below, and you'll see the mods throwing like the deck chairs over the side at the rockers. They were being smashed up and used as weapons anyway. I did see an article again about a rocker being thrown over, it wasn't over the pier, but it was thrown over like the wall onto the ones around the side of the coast, like onto the beach. She was thrown over that and badly cut up. But yeah, I'll link some of the videos that I've found about the actual footage of the event. Another good thing to watch, if you're interested, is we do have a film based around the actual clash between the mods and the rockers, and it's called Quadrophenia. Now, obviously, from the sound of the title, it is around mainly the mods culture, and it does follow a guy who is a mod, but you do see a lot of the rockers in it, and it is based around the fight between the mods and the rockers. And it is, even though you're following a lot more of the mods, if you're not into the mods and you're more leaning towards the rockers, like I am, I actually prefer the rockers and the mods. Even though you're following a guy who's playing the part of a mod and the mod gang, you do see a lot of action from the rockers as well, and it is quite good to watch, and it'll give you an idea of what actually went down. The only downside to the mods is it obviously puts the mods in a bad light, and it, to me personally, it does show the mods as being the bad guys, so to speak. Even though it shows you the rockers being very violent towards the mods, personally, from when it shows you the fights, it shows you as if the mods started it. So if you're interested, check that film out called Quadrophenia. It was filmed in 1979, I think it was. But yes, it is a very good film to watch, very interesting. When it comes to the differences between your mods and your rockers, and who I think is a more superior culture, I would have to say the rockers. I mean, you think you've only got to look, like, if you live like in the UK, if you just out and about, you will guarantee you will see a rocker, or you've still got the rock cafe, like you've got the Ace cafes and other roadside cafes, and you will see bikers up and down, like if you're out and about on the road. So you will definitely see that subculture still being carried on now today. As for mods, I've never ever seen anybody on the scooters like what they would have had in the 60s, wearing the parka jackets and trying to revive the mod subculture. I haven't seen any, apart from obviously going to the shows like Goodwood Revival. I saw a lot of the scooters, but I never saw anybody dressed as a mod. The ironic thing is, 2 years after the whole mods and rockers rumble, exactly 2 years, a lot of the mods turned to the hippie subculture for a quieter lifestyle. Tell me what you think. One's completely died out, or is very rare, and the other one is still going pretty strong today. So, whose side would you be on? The mods or the rockers? I hope you're not too stressed with all your Christmas shopping, and I will see you soon. Bye.